Have you ever felt as though you didn't belong? Perhaps you grew up with this sense of disconnection, of alienation, quite literally feeling like you were an alien walking through a foreign landscape. Have you felt your entire life as though you have a home, but it's not any place that you've ever been? And yet, even though you've never been there in this life, you long for it deeply and you know it intimately in a way that you can't describe. Do you perhaps feel closest to this home when you are outside at night staring up at the stars? If so, it is very likely that you are a starseed, a being from another galaxy or planetary system who has incarnated upon this earth. In this video, we're going to be talking about 3 waves of volunteers or starseeds who came to this earth with a specific mission. A mission to help uplift the frequency of humanity and to assist the planet in its ascension. These 3 waves of volunteers and this term was first coined by Dolores Cannon. Dolores Cannon is a very fascinating human being, or was, we could say. She has transitioned, but she is still very active in this ascension process and the assisting of humanity from the non-physical at this time. She was a pioneer in hypnosis, past life regression, and research into the quantum realms. She went where very few had dared to go before her, regressing people to the soul level and gathering volumes and volumes of information as a result of the things that these people told her while under hypnosis. There was a point in her research and in her work with her clients where many clients began to tell her that they were starseeds or beings from other planets, galaxies, and dimensions who had come to this earth when they heard the call. The call that they were talking about was the call that was put out by this planet and by the elders and those who govern and look over this planet. It was a call for help, an SOS, if you will, because the earth and humanity were at a stalling point and they needed assistance evolving before they destroyed themselves, and that energy and the effects of what was happening here on this planet rippled out into other galaxies. To understand the dilemma here, we have to understand that Earth is a free will planet, which is not necessarily something that you find in all different planets within the multiverse. There are many planets where we do not have complete free will. And this is a beautiful thing, but it can be problematic as well, because when we come to Earth, we forget who we are completely. And some of us begin to remember while others don't. And there are many forces at play at this time on this planet who are working behind the scenes to make sure that people don't remember. Although if you look around you, if you look at the number of people looking up these types of topics, exploring these different themes and energies, you'll see that they are failing miserably. However, they were successful for a very long time. And that is a completely different video, although I will reference these beings or entities, sometimes referred to as the archons or the dark ones, a few times in this video, and I will link a video at the end of this one if you want to understand more about who those beings are. But suffice to say, this was designed as a free will planet. And this gift of free will, if you will, has a couple caveats. The main caveat being that if the free will of one collective threatens the free will and the safety and well-being and autonomy of other collectives, other planets, other galaxies, then there has to be some type of intervention made. Because while we have free will on this earth, we are not meant to infringe upon others' free will in other planetary systems. And that's exactly what was happening around the time that this call was put out. There were 2 key factors, or 2 key energies and elements that we're developing. And I do believe that these things are linked together. One of these 2 factors was the development and the experimentation with nuclear technology. And the other factor in this equation was an agreement made in the 1930s by the US government and some other governments around the world, the shadow government cabal, whatever you want to call them, with these dark ones, with these archons. The powers that be, or the powers that were, as they are no longer, although they like to keep up the charade as though they are, made this agreement with the Archons in exchange for more power, in exchange for more dark technologies to use in order to subvert the will of the people. Like we said, this is a free will planet, but there are lots of ways to sort of get around that, and there are lots of ways to influence that. Any being that is not incarnated or is not present on this planet cannot influence the free will or the goings on here. But those who are incarnated here can. And this is one of the reasons why it was so important for these starseeds to come in and inhabit human bodies. Nothing can be done from out there. It has to be done from here. So this agreement was made, and I do believe that it connects in with the beginnings of the experimentation with nuclear technology. We made this agreement with the Archons in the 1930s, and in the 1940s, 1942 to be exact. And I've mentioned this date. Those of you who follow this channel will be maybe familiar with that, because we've been talking about the conjunction of Mars, Uranus, and the demon star Algol, which is occurring, it may have already passed, depending on when you're finding this video, on July 15th of 2024. And in 1942, the last time that conjunction happened, that was the beginning of the Manhattan Project and the development of the first atomic bomb. The elders and the beings that govern and watch over this reality, I guess watch over is a better word than govern, because like we said, we have free will that can't be interfered with. However, they do guide us and they do assist us by sharing with us the certain technologies and advancements that we need as a society at the right time. In the 1930s and 1940s, that was not the right time for nuclear technology to be shared with humans, with this collective incarnated upon Earth, because we simply weren't ready for it. We were not in the right vibration. We were not in the right energy. It was given to the wrong hands at the wrong time in order to do harm. So instead of our elders and the councils and the beautiful benevolent beings who assist and watch over this reality giving us that information in perfect divine timing, the Archons gave it to us sooner. So this call was put out to the multiverse. This call for assistance to help wake up humanity, to help avoid nuclear war and all of the other catastrophes that were sure to follow. This ascension process is a twofold thing. Yes, we are raising in vibration and frequency. The Earth is, and I thought this was really beautiful, Dolores Cannon recorded many people as saying that they came to help Earth through her next incarnation, because the Earth is a living being as well. So on one level, that is what's happening with the ascension. It is a beautiful organic process. It is also a process of transcending out of the false matrix, the inverted reality that we fell into with the fall of Atlantis and with our the beginnings of our dealings directly with these dark ones or archons. And so we are ascending, and as we are breaking free. It's really, really beautiful. But humanity could not do this on their own. They needed help. And yes, there were starseeds incarnated here already, but there weren't enough. So that call was put out, that invitation for these starseeds to come into this reality, to forget who they were, but with these powerful light codes, these powerful frequencies embedded within them, and this powerful mission that would begin to unlock and activate and make its way into their consciousness, from their superconscious to the subconscious into the consciousness at the perfect divine time. If you are finding this video, it is very likely, if you are resonating with this material, that you have also always felt as though you had a purpose, even if you didn't know what it was. And perhaps you did know or do know that this purpose involves helping others. It involves service to others in some way, shape, or form. You have a deep and burning desire to make an impact, to make a positive impact on this planet. That is another key sign that you are one of these waves of souls or volunteers. The first wave of volunteers began incarnating at the time that this call was put out. So this would be the 1930s, 1940s. Many refer to these as the Indigos. These starseeds were the first ones to come onto this planet, share their vibration, share their frequency. And of course, they had to really, like, the only way I can put it is to say they had to dumb themselves down in order to be able to enter into the body, because their frequency is so much higher than the density on this earth. Only so much of their soul frequency could come into the body. They had the task of coming into a place that had very little light and to be the beacons of that light. They came here with the mission to shake up the status quo, to ruffle some feathers, to begin to initiate change. And as a result of being this first wave, they felt very alone. They felt very isolated, very alienated. There were not very many awake and aware parents for them to come, for them to be portaled into this dimension, onto this planet through. And not only that, but they came here to begin cleaning up the lineage. So they had to be born to parents who were unconscious, parents whose soul light was not very activated, many of them into some of the deepest and darkest family lines, so that they could begin the process of clearing that energy. We refer to these people oftentimes, and ourselves, right, as the black sheep or the rainbow sheep. They were the ones who were different. They were the ones who looked at their family, the traditions, the way that things were always done, the dysfunction and the toxicity, and they said, no more. I'm not playing into that. That is not me. That does not resonate with me. That is not the way that I want to live my life. And so they began to break the ancestral curses and heal the ancestral lineage. And that energy is so powerful. Honestly, we owe a great deal, those of us who incarnated later, we owe a great deal of respect and a great deal of acknowledgement to this first wave of starseeds, to the Indigos, for what they did, because they really took on a lot and it really took a toll. A lot of Indigo starseeds suffered from depression and mental illness. Many tried to take their lives or went through periods where they were deeply suicidal, just because they were so very much not a matching frequency to this planet or to their families. And unless they were able to find each other, they felt very alone. And we can see kind of a surgence of this energy, I think, if that's a word. If not, I just made it up. As the Indigo, this first wave of Indigos came of age around the 1960s and 1970s, we saw that whole beautiful movement that developed. And yes, it was marred to some extent as the drugs and all of some of the lower vibratory energies came in. Right? There were a lot of different evolutions of that energy, but at its core, it started as a beautiful, pure movement. And that really holds the essence, I think, of these starseeds, or of an aspect of them. It was that unconditional love, right? That free love energy and movement, that interconnectedness that, yes, was very much fueled by LSD as well. But they were open. They were on a different frequency, and they wanted to share that. They wanted to shift and change the world. And of course, although those seeds were planted, they did not take root the way that had been hoped. And I think that added to a lot of the despair of this wave of starseeds, because they thought they were going to change the world. And to the outside eye, it hadn't happened. Right? The world, the darkness fought back and appeared to have won. However, those seeds had continued to germinate, and they are really beginning to sprout and blossom right now. So those Indigos who are still present here on this planet, like, thank you for that. And like, I'm glad that there are some of you who get to see that and feel that. And if you don't, just look all around you. Look at the number of people looking up videos like this on YouTube right now. That alone shows how much this energy is gaining momentum. And remember, for everybody who's of the younger generations, right? When the Indigo starseeds were coming of age, there was no internet, right? There was no level of connectivity like there is today. There weren't cell phones. None of this existed. That didn't even exist when I was a small child. I saw the internet come into existence, and I saw cell phones and all of that come into existence, as you know, many people are around my age or a little bit older that watch this channel, right? So we saw all of that. There was none of that in the beginning. So the only way that the Indigos could connect with each other was on a frequency level, or when they drew each other into their lives personally. right? And this did happen, but not to the degree that probably would have been helpful. But that was the mission that they took on, right? And they did an incredible job because we've seen additional waves of starseeds coming through. That is the proof, right? The second wave of starseeds could not have incarnated on this planet, nor the waves that follow, unless the Indigos had come here and lightened up the frequency. Each wave of starseeds is of an even higher vibration than the last. And it's not because the souls are more advanced or more high vibrational necessarily. It's because, for one thing, more of their soul light is able to come into their body because of the frequency on this planet. And this happens with everybody. We're doing this all the time as well. As we continue to grow and evolve and ascend and release these generational traumas, release our own wounding, go through the healing process, and our vibration raises, we're able to download more of our soul's energy into our vessels as well. So this is a lifelong thing that happens, but each wave is able to come in with more of that energy intact because of the shifted vibration on the planet. And this second wave of starseeds, and I don't have an exact date for when they began incarnating. I'm guessing around like the 80s, maybe 70s, 80s, something like that. But there are no hard and fast rules here. These energies and these time frames overlap. The really only, and we can't even say hard and fast, but like the primary call within the 30s and 40s. After that, everything gets a little bit blurry, right? But the second wave of starseeds really came to begin shifting the frequency. The Indigos planted the seeds. They started the process of shaking things up. They began doing the ancestral healing. And then the second wave came in, and these Dolores Cannon referred to as the antennas, the satellites, or the generators. And their entire purpose on this planet is simply to be here, to exist on this planet and exude their frequency. And simply being present and being that satellite for this high vibrational energy to be channeled through and anchoring and grounding that into the earth shifts the frequency and the vibration of this earth immensely. A lot of the grid keepers and a lot of the starseeds who have missions around nature and conservation come from this second wave. The second wave of starseeds is very empathic. They are very sensitive to energy because they are giant conductors and transmuters of energy. Because of this, they're very aware of who is in their space. They tend to be very introverted, or at least need to retreat to recharge their batteries quite consistently. Dolores Cannon didn't talk about the alchemy quality of this, but I feel it very strongly with this second wave that they are alchemizing and transmuting this energy. And so as a result of that, they need to, like I said, refuel their batteries. One of the best ways to do this besides solitude is to be out in nature. So if you identify as a second wave, please spend some time out in nature. I mean, all of us, it's ideal for all of us, right? The more connected we are to this planet, the more we can assist her, the more we can receive healing from her as well as bring healing to her, right? This is a physical ascension. We are taking our physical bodies with us. The earth herself is physically ascending. So it's so important to stay connected to nature for everybody, but especially for the second wave, because they need that clearing. They need that clearing, and they need to be really conscious that they don't take in too many and take on energies, because that is one of the dangers for the second wave, is to be too much of a sponge, to take in and not be able to transmute for whatever reason the energies and then get bogged down in the heavier energies and frequencies. We all knew that there was a danger that we would forget who we were completely and get stuck and trapped in the cycles of karma. Right, but the second wave is hyper aware of this, and there's a great possibility of that simply if they, like we said, take in too much of that without being able to transform that energy. So really getting conscious of the ways that they work with energy for this second wave. This second wave is very likely not to have children, or even many times to get married, because once again, they don't want to take on that karma. This is an unconscious thing, of course, for many. They don't realize they're doing this on a conscious level, but it's all about really, like, the mission is get in and get out. Get in, get out, don't get caught up, don't get stuck. Don't fall into the snares, don't fall into the trap, right? Because, and we'll get into this more in later videos. I think in the video I link in the description box below about the archons, we get into this a little bit, but I can't quite remember how the cycles of karma, these karmic loops, where basically humanity is just being recycled through these traumatic karmic loops at this point. And that's part of how the archons feed on our energy, their energy, right? So they didn't want to do that. They didn't want to get caught up in all of that. Ideally, none of these waves of starseeds do, but the second wave especially. So they tend to be a little bit distant in this sense, but they are very, very beautiful, loving, overall, empathetic, compassionate beings. And a lot of times they have that burning desire to be of service as well. And they may be really hard on themselves. Like they don't feel like they're not doing enough. And so that's why I want to let you know, if you identify with that second wave, you just being here is everything you are meant to do. Anything else is just icing on the cake. This second wave, some of them were born to more conscious parents. Many of them were still born to unconscious parents because of the level of frequency that they can hold. Think of them as like giant batteries for this high vibrational energy. That frequency permeates the ancestral line and helps to heal that lineage, as well as all the healing work that they do. So many of them did once again incarnate into heavy familial lines in order to begin clearing this energy. And some did incarnate to other starseeds or more awakened and aware parents as well. And that brings us into the third wave of starseeds. And we're actually going to talk about 4 waves in this video. But the third wave is what we call the rainbow children or the crystal children. And these are really, really, really high vibrational, beautiful, beautiful beings. And once again, we don't have an exact time frame for this. Could be anywhere, like if I were going to give a time frame, we could imagine anywhere maybe from like the late 80s into the 90s and the early 2000s, where this wave of starseeds was being born. This wave of starseeds, they are highly intelligent. They are even more, they're kind of like a blend of the first and the second wave in different ways. They're powerful transmuters of energy. Their vibrational system is far more intact. Way more of their soul light is able to download or incarnate into their vessel. They have their chakra systems and their DNA activated, and they're bringing these activations to the planet. They are probably very high energy and high intelligence, although that intelligence may not be apparent in certain ways, because it's not necessarily all the kind of intelligence that we've learned to value in our narrow understanding of the brain and the mind and the world, the box that we've been so used to living in. Because remember, all of these waves of starseeds are meant to help break humanity out of the box. All right, so their intelligence may be emotional, it may be spiritual intelligence, it may be intellectual intelligence, and it may show in a variety of ways. Some of these children are on the spectrum, labeled as autistic possibly. Some of these children are, and many of these children are diagnosed with a variety of different ailments, if you will, ADHD being a very popular one. And the main reason for this is because they are so smart and their mind is firing on so many cylinders that like the traditional sit down at your desk and do the math problems and do the this and do the that, that doesn't work for them. They need to be engaged. And they're all different types of intelligences and learners, right? So they're creative. It's left brain, it's right brain. For some of them, it's both. And so they need more than just that traditional education. They get bored really quickly. And so they're all over the place. So one of the really important things to know is putting them on medication is beginning to shut down their gifts and their psychic centers. And this wave is, like the other waves before it, incredibly psychically and spiritually gifted. And the first 2 waves most likely had to develop their psychic gifts and senses because there was so much density and there was so much, they weren't able to access it perhaps as easily. Some yes, some no. But this third wave, they are just naturally on. Many of them remember a lot about the universe, a lot about perhaps their prior lives, different star systems. If we actually listen to them and take the time to listen with an open mind, there's a lot that they're going to have to share with us that really could blow our minds. And children of all ages, right? This is actually a lot more common than people realize. It's just that in the past, society was taught to shut that down, right? That means you're crazy. That means you're going to get locked away. We can't talk like that. People are going to think you need to be medicated. People are going to judge me as a parent if my child is giving them messages from their ancestors or talking about other lifetimes, right? Or any of this stuff. So that was shut down pretty quickly. And this is another reason why some of the earlier waves of starseeds may have had more trouble accessing their gifts, because they were born to parents, more than likely, who said, no, that's not real. You're making that up. Stop telling stories. You know what I mean? And so this third wave is likely to be born to more aware parents because those gifts are meant to be nurtured. Like they don't have the time to work through all the trauma and wounding around having to shut down parts of themselves. They're here to shine, and many of them won't take to it anyway, right? Because they are very strong-willed. They have that indigo sense of will, but they also have a beautiful gentleness to them, like the second wave. So this is just a really, really diverse and beautiful group of starseed children here. And we have a fourth wave, I do believe, who are also incarnated upon this earth. And I don't really have a time frame for this. My intuition is telling me 2012, maybe, when the frequencies really began to pick up on this planet, and we went through 2011, 2012, one of our most recent serious vibrational shifts and timeline jumps. And definitely since 2020. All right. Like if you have a child, if you are open to these concepts, if you know that you are a spiritual being and you had a child from 2020 on, then I would hazard to say this child definitely falls into this category. These are what Rising Phoenix Aurora likes to refer to as the angel babies. I like to call them the ultraviolet children because their frequency is so beautiful. It is so high vibrational. Like the third wave, their DNA is fully activated. They are carrying powerful light codes. Just their presence emanates. And you can feel it. It's almost like receiving a blessing when you're in the presence of one of these children. They have this incredible, incredible aura to them. Very psychically gifted, very psychically powerful. And they really are here. All of these, both of these later two waves, well, all the waves really, but especially these later two waves, they are here to bring the Christ consciousness to this planet. They are here to be our teachers. Right? Yes, the parents have the responsibility of remaining open and encouraging curiosity, encouraging expression. But these children will do all the rest, right? They hit the ground running, so to speak. Some of them quite literally. Some of them are very advanced in different ways, whether similar to the third wave, whether this is intellectually advanced, physically advanced, just in so many different ways. It's like I'm laughing to myself because Spirit's like quite literally hitting the ground running. They may not be running the moment they get out of the womb, but it ain't too long after. And that energy will just continue to gain momentum and frequency. Another thing about this fourth wave is that the portals that they came into this earth from, the portals meaning the mothers, had to be very energetically clear in order for them to enter. They had to be free of certain infringements and attachments because the vibration can only, the mother is the physical vessel, the portal that houses and brings the soul through. She has to be of a matching vibration. And so like, even though the soul energy can continue to be downloaded throughout the lifetime, they had to come in at a very high frequency. And so the mothers had to be of a certain frequency in order to house that energy. And when these mothers, when they are holding these children within their wombs, they are receiving so much activation, so many light codes, so many downloads on a subconscious level that may not even be realized. Like they are quite literally, some of them being healed by these children while these children are in the womb. And this is an evidence of the type of healing that these children are capable of providing to the planet and to humanity as they come out the other side, so to speak, and place those little feet on the ground of this planet. It's like the vision I'm seeing in my head right now is like one of these children standing, you see like a spot of brown earth, almost like a barren landscape, and this child standing on the landscape and the green just blossoming all around them and spreading out. It's like that's how contagious their energy is in the best possible sense. So these children are meant to be nurtured. They are meant to be protected, right? Their innocence, their purity, their beauty. And any parents of these children who took on that role, thank you for that, because that is a great, great service to this planet. Right? And I will do, if people are interested, I'll do more videos on these last two waves of starseeds and the energies of parenting a starseed as I am moving through this process and learning as I go here. I would be happy to share if there are more parents out there who have these starseed children and are wanting to share in that experience and to share our wisdom and knowledge. These children very, very activated and activating to nature. So once again, like that second wave when we were talking about, really get them out in nature, allow them to create, allow them to express, and be open to learning, because like I said, they are our teachers. So there you have it. The 4 waves of starseeds, or 4 waves of volunteers currently incarnating upon this planet to assist in the ascension, or the next incarnation of this earth. Let me know down below. Do you resonate with any of these waves of starseeds? Are you a parent to a starseed child? Do you feel yourself somewhere in the middle? Remember, like I said, these are the waves that Dolores Cannon talked about, but there are other starseeds here as well, right? There are starseeds who have been here since the inception of this planet, since the times of Mu and Lemuria and Atlantis, who are seeing this project through to the end, seeing this experiment, if you will, through to the end. All right. There are starseeds that came here just to have fun, just to be part of this all. And some of these, I also do want to say that some of these children, these last waves that we're talking about here, won't necessarily just incarnate into child's bodies. It will be much more challenging, because there is a whole process that has to happen during a walk-in, especially when a walk-in is, the vessel is older. All right. But some of them may come in as walk-ins as well. That is another video that I've been working on. And so if you are not yet subscribed, go ahead and click the bell with the little squigglies so you get the notifications, so you don't miss that video, as well as any of the other videos that we put out here. I say we because we are a beautiful tribe. We are a collective. And if you enjoy the vibe, then go ahead and join our tribe. If you feel called to do any one-on-one work with me, the information is in the description box below. I love you. I honor you. I respect you infinitely. Thank you for joining me today.